What's up? This is a quick demo and tutorial of Crows 1.0 that we're going to release tonight. So what you're looking at is indpgh.org/G20, and I'm going to show you how you can very quickly build this site in a few minutes. The site lets you report on things that are happening. It has a podcast, a Twitter widget, and a map where you can contribute to the map and see everything that's going on around town, and photos at the bottom. Now every photo enlarges and has a report button which you can use to add things to the map in real time. So if I were to add these monks to 5800 Ellsworth Street and click the submit, they would go onto the map. And that's how this site worked. You can do the same thing with the Twitter widgets, and they show right up on the map after you report them. So to build this site, you can download the Crows package and install it on your server. And the only file you need to worry about is this one, config.php. So I'm going to edit that file. Now the first thing that I want to do at the top of the config file is where I set up my widgets. So this is what you see when you first load the Crows on your server, an empty site. So I'm going to go ahead and configure my widgets at the top of the config file to look like the G20 site. So basically I'm just going to reorder these lines in the order that I want the widgets to appear. So I want to have my player first, and after the player I want the reports box, so that will go second in the list. After reports, the podcast playlist. After the podcast playlist, we'll put the Twitter widget, and beneath that is the map and flickr. I'm not going to use the YouTube widget, so I'm going to go ahead and comment that out. So we have these 6 widgets that we just reordered. Now I'm going to adjust the height and widths of them. I'm going to make the report box narrow so it fits up next to the player. And I'm going to adjust the width a little bit of the podcast playlist. The Twitter widget, I'm going to leave the map and flickr at 1000 so that they take up the whole width of the screen. Okay, so now my widgets are set up. This is a little message I could paste in for the report form to tell reporters. You can put anything you want in there. Now I'm going to adjust my page title, G infinity, my page description, and the contact email that shows at the bottom for getting in touch. Alright, so as you can see, I have 2 background images, a tower and a logo. There's the tower, there's the logo. I placed those in my images folder, and I'm going to set those right here. For logo URL is going to be my logo. I'm going to change the background color of the trim from black to gold, black font, and the tower will be my background image. It's in my images folder. Now the 3 headings at the top, you can adjust the width, the heading, and the HTML that goes inside of them. So I'm just going to take this message that's at the top for the middle one, and I'm going to paste that in. My heading covering G20 from the people's perspective. And my HTML will be what I just copied. For the top right, a donation box, and you can put the code for the donations there. Okay. Now I'm going to skip over the YouTube widget because I commented that one out. I'm not using it. I am using a podcast feed. So I'm going to take my libsyn. It's a regular RSS podcast feed from libsyn. And I'm going to paste that into podcast feed URL so that the right podcast shows up in my podcast playlist. I'm going to change my default map from satellite to normal. There's 5 different map types you can use. Now notice that it's telling me I don't have a Google Maps API key. I can follow the link and get one of those very quickly. They send it right back to you. And do the same thing with Flickr. It only takes a few seconds to sign up for their API keys. You just basically tell Google and Flickr that you're going to be using their API on your site, and they give you a key so that they know who you are. So I'm going to go ahead and paste my Google Maps API key right into the map key field. Okay. Now I have my latitude and my longitude that the map centers on. That's Polish Hill, part of Pittsburgh, and a zoom of 13. Now my Twitter hashtags that I'm going to follow. I'm going to follow G20, report G20, and our Twitter name, which was G20INF. G20IMC, actually. Okay, so my Twitter's set up, and I can put in a Twitter account, which people can use to follow. So now for my Flickr widget, I am going to change my tags that I look for from crows to G20 in Pittsburgh. That will look for Flickr photos that have both G20 and Pittsburgh from the public photo pool, so anybody's photo can show up in there. And now I'm going to refresh my site. Taking a second here. And there it is. Recreation of the G20 website with a new map ready to go. So the Flickr photos were missing because I forgot to paste my Flickr API key in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There's 3 Flickr modes you can search for photos by. You can show like a playlist, a user's photos, or just search for photos. YouTube works the same way. So now I have my Flickr key in. I should see my photos at the bottom. And there they are. So that is how you would set up the G20 website. You can obviously configure this however you want. I think there's a lot of different things you can do with this. So give it a try. Let us know what you do with it. If you find any bugs, contact at Crow's Nest. You can follow us on Twitter as crowdsource. And we're also going to have this up on GitHub soon in case anybody else wants to work on it. So that's it for now. Good luck.